Okay, guys, hello and welcome to today's session. Today, we're going to be talking about the Chartered Financial Analyst Program. What is the CFA? What are the benefits of actually registering in the CFA program? And what are the changes that have been recently introduced into this program, which I believe on a personal level will uphold the whole session and will uphold the whole program into a totally new level. So guys, just to give you a bit of an info about what we're going to be doing today. First of all, we're going to be talking about Morgan. What does Morgan do? And then we're going to move on into talking about the CFA program from the aspect of the program itself, the requirements for you to be able to register within the program, and then what are the changes that have been introduced and will be effective starting February window exams. And then how do we do it at Morgan, which is what's the material that we use, what's the prep provider that we depend on, and how do we actually do the sessions. And of course, here you can ask me any question that you want, whether you want to write it in the chat box, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And then I'm going to give you the CFA tips, solutions, advices, and of course, at the end, I'm going to leave it for a Q&A session. Now, a bit of introduction about myself. My name is Bilal Ghatir. I've been with Morgan since 2015. I'm one of those old people at Morgan. I teach CFA O levels, of course, CFA program. I have more than 15, 16 years working in corporate finance, public finance, transactions, advisory, valuations, basically everything when it comes to the umbrella of finance. And I believe that I will do my best to share my experience, whether when I was a candidate myself or during my whole years of teaching at Morgan. So first of all, just to give you a bit of information about who we are, what is our promise, and what are we really promising you guys with. So when it comes to Morgan, guys, first of all, Morgan hasn't been in the market for a year or two. We've been there for more than 25 years with more than 28 locations worldwide. We have had more than 150K candidates for all the programs that Morgan run, because you know Morgan does not only run the CFA, we run a lot of programs that we will see in a bit. And Morgan also has some kind of a network of experienced certified instructors that are not only knowledgeable in the topic, but actually they are certified in all the certificates that they teach. Now, what does Morgan offer? Of course, Morgan offers the workshops, the professional certifications, which today we will be talking about, industry-specific workshops, soft skills workshops, and of course, any customized in-house training programs. Now, this is in a nutshell, the professional programs that Morgan deliver, and we will be focusing on the CFA for today. However, Morgan also offers certificates like the CPA, CMA, CIA, FRM, DIP, IFR, ACCA, NCA, IA. Now, of course, if you have any question regarding the other certificates that we're not going to be talking about today, you're more than welcome to send an email and inquiry to Morgan team, and I'm sure that they will be more than happy to help you. Aside from accounting and finance, also Morgan offers certificates in human resources and remuneration, especially the SHRM, the SHARM, and the SHRM also senior, the ACHRM, the Advanced Certificate in Human Resource Management, and finally the Global Remuneration Program. Now, when it comes to supply chain, also Morgan offers a certificate in supply chain professional and digital marketing, whether it is short courses or certifications. Now, of course, since we've been there for more than 25 years, we have dealt with the biggest, the largest companies out there, specifically those that are in the audit, in the advisory, in the banking sector, and of course, specifically, we're talking, Kaman, about the big four companies such as Deloitte, PwC, etc., etc. Now, when it comes to the CFA charter, so what is the CFA charter? First of all, the CFA, it's a charter, it's not a certificate. So a lot of people think that the CFA is a certificate by itself, but in reality, it's not a certificate. It's a charter, right? So when we're calling this a charter, we're differentiating ourselves from other C programs, with all due respect to other programs. Because to be honest, the way that the CFA is structured, the way that the CFA is done is totally different from other programs. So what is the CFA and what does the charter really promise you? First of all, the CFA charter is highly recognized, not only in the investment industry, in the investment, in the asset management, the portfolio management, in the corporate finance, the public finance, the trading, anything that has to do with finance, CFA certificate, CFA charter is highly, highly recognized. Not only that, but there are benefits to not only finishing the CFA as a whole, but also to completing certain levels. Because you know that the CFA is made up of 3 levels. The more that you advance into the program, the better that you'll see the advantages coming your way. And this is speaking from from my personal experience, and from the experience where I have dealt with a lot of candidates who have passed the level 1 and they got opportunities more. Level 2, they got even better opportunities. And of course, when they finish the charter, they get really, really good opportunities. This is 1. 2, when it comes to the program, the CFA Institute really focuses on staying up to date with what's going on in the world. Recently, they have introduced a lot of topics that are related to fintech and what is going on in the advancement in the fintech industry. So you get to learn about machine learning, you get to know about artificial intelligence, and also they introduce something which I will talk about it in a bit with you guys, that has to do with programming itself and what kind of applicable modules you guys can learn, you guys can benefit from, which will give you that technical edge that you need at work. And finally, of course, the most important employers out there, they see the CFA different from other C programs. Again, with all due respect to C program, but I can be biased, I believe. So it is a very valuable charter, which I advise really anyone who is interested in finance to at least explore it, right? At least explore it. Now, what does the CFA cover? Well, based on a lot of surveys, most of the candidates say that the curriculum of the CFA program, which is always updated, it takes into consideration all of those important topics that are needed in finance. Plus, it also takes into consideration the industry practices. And of course, it takes into consideration what you can learn in the CFA program and relate it to work. And finally, when it comes to the exam questions, you feel that the exam questions are not getting from nowhere. They're not just popping up from some place that you don't know where it came from. But of course, they relate to the experience that you have along with the material, of course, that you have studied during the whole program or during the whole course. It depends on what level we're talking about. Now, let me pause in a bit and take a look at the sessions that you guys have posted. So Hisham, for example, he asked, I have a diploma in business accounting, and am I allowed to get the CFA and consider that graduated in 2013? You have 7 years of experience. Hisham, I come from an accounting background. I'm not a finance person. And let me tell you one thing. This is an advantage for you because honestly, a lot of people that go into finance, if they're not good in accounting, they might hate few topics. But for you, the most topic that you will enjoy, which others might not, is financial statement analysis. So of course, I come from an accounting background. I found it to be my strong point. And then it took me a bit of time to get used to other topics. And it was honestly okay for me to go over them. And this is why I actually excel in finance, because I'm combining both accounting and finance at the same time. So definitely you can do that. As for the other question, Shahad is asking, okay, I think it was answered. So yes, she was asking about the session being posted on YouTube. So yes, it will be posted hopefully on YouTube. Now, to go into more depth, what are the careers that actually go along with the CFA charter? Based on surveys, of course, and all of this information is based on information released by the CFA Institute. So the CFA charter is important for portfolio managers, researchers, whether we're talking about sell-side and buy-side research, consultants, we're talking about risk consultants, and we're talking about financial consultants and advisory, risk analysts, of course, relationship managers, basically for banks, data scientists, I'll tell you why in a bit, credit analysts, of course, at a bank, chief investment officers, traders, financial planners or advisors, and corporate financial analysts. So we're talking about the corporate aspect of finance, i.e. corporate financial analyst, senior financial analyst, finance manager, and CFO, right? As for the other industries that go along with the CFA Institute, we're talking about asset management, private wealth management, commercial banking, investment banking, insurance consulting, asset ownership, brokerage, and fintech. And guess what, guys? Some of the changes that were introduced to the program, they really offer an advantage when it comes to how do we analyze data, right, based on the latest technologies. And this is when I will talk about Python in a bit. So how can you become a CFA? Well, the CFA, guys, first you have a requirement, which I will talk about in a bit for you to be able to register. Aside from the requirement, we're going to talk about what does it take for you to become a CFA charter holder. First of all, there are 3 exams. There's level 1, level 2, and level 3. If you pass the exam, you need to have qualified work experience when it comes to applying your profile and applying the work experience in terms of hours and terms of years to the CFA Institute. So when you pass the exams, it's not enough for you to be a CFA charter. It takes submitting relevant work experience that the CFA Institute will evaluate, and then they will tell you that the experience, if the experience is actually going in parallel with what is required. Now, mostly anyone that is working in accounting and finance, right? And his work depends on the investment, the decision-making process in a company, or giving financial information and insights to management, to senior management, to owners, trading, etc., etc. This is what is quoted as a qualified work experience. So I've seen also auditors with relevant experience in finance submitting their experience and actually getting approved on the work that they have submitted, as long as the work that you're doing affects the decision-making process within a company. Now, after the work experience gets approved, you need to submit reference letters. Now, the good thing about those our candidates who deal with Morgan is that the moment that they graduate from, or let me call it graduate, pass the exams, after sitting in the classes with Morgan, then they will get to know a lot of trainers, a lot of CFA charter holders who can be their references and fill out the reference letters later for them. So yes, we also can help on that whenever you guys, hopefully, inshallah, pass the exams. We will be more than honorable. We will be more than happy to be your reference whenever you're submitting your application to the CFA for the CFA charter. And after you submit your references and they get approved, you can apply to become a CFA charter holder. And then you have to maintain your charter holder status, which is, by the way, I have to talk about it. Guys, the moment you are candidates, this is part of my responsibility as a CFA charter and trainer to tell you that you should always uphold the CFA code of ethics and the professional code of conduct. These two are vital. They are very important. You cannot be a candidate and go like, I don't have to worry about it because when I become a charter holder, I will worry about it back then or later on. But the thing is, no, the moment you are a candidate, the moment you register at the CFA Institute and plan to sit for the exam, you must abide by the CFA Code of Ethics and the Professional Code of Conduct. And you'll get to know more about that later on whenever you guys register. Now, before we talk about the requirements, let me take a look at the Q&A again. So Muhammad Abdullah is asking, I'm an ACCA member. Does that help reduce the preparation time? Of course, Muhammad. When it comes to preparation time, I'm going to talk about it in a bit, like in later slide. But when it comes to anyone coming from finance, working in finance, coming from accounting, working in accounting, it depends on the experiences that you guys have. But the more that you are familiar and the more certificates that you guys have, of course, it reduces the preparation time, specifically in your case, in the financial statement analysis section and in the corporate finance. So you might find those two easy, at least in the first level, in level 1. As for Sarah, she said she holds an economic degree with 2 years of experience. How will the CFA help you? Okay, Sarah. So it's not about how will the CFA help you. It's about where do you want to be. The moment that you're considering the CFA program, it means that you have something in mind, right? Where do you want to be, like after you finish the CFA or during your CFA journey? Do you want to be working as a research analyst, an equity analyst, a sell-side analyst, a buy-side analyst? Do you want to shift and transition into finance? Let me tell you why. Because the CFA program has a section in it which is called economics. So believe it or not, let me talk a bit about finance and analysis. Whenever we're conducting any analysis of a company, we always, or most of the time, we look at what we call the top-down approach. The top-down approach always starts, Sarah, with analyzing the economy. And then we analyze the industry. And then we analyze the company. We don't just jump into analyzing the company. So if you have an economics degree, then you have the top of the pyramid done. All what you have to do is to familiarize yourself with how to analyze the industry, link it to the economy, analyze the company, link it to the industry, and then you'll have a complete understanding of things. So having an economics background or experience in economics, I believe it helps you a lot, especially if you want to work as a research analyst, if you want to work as an equity analyst, or maybe if you want to transition to corporate analyst. I'm sure it will add value. Your economics background will add value because it's easier for you to link what's going on in the macro perspective and link it to what's going on in the micro perspective within the company. As for Hanouf, can the CFA help you get a career shift? With zero experience in finance and banking, I have 6 years of NGO experience in research and data analysis. Look, can I guarantee that that will happen? No one can guarantee anything. But what I can tell you is it will increase your chances by far compared if you do nothing and try to shift. So of course, passing the CFA certificate, the CFA maybe level 1, level 2, even before you finish, right? Being a candidate in the CFA level 1 program for the CFA level 1 exam will give you a boost for sure. But will it guarantee anything for you? No one can ever guarantee anything. What you guys can, although, be sure of is that it will increase the probabilities of you shifting careers, finding a new job, getting more exposure, being connected to, you know, a bigger society in finance. Because let me tell you something, the moment that you guys are CFA charters, not only you will benefit from the charter itself, but you will benefit from the local society. Because part of upholding your charter is, of course, you're going to pay the annual fee to the CFA Institute, and you have to pay a fee to the local society where you guys are located. Now, the moment this is the case, it means that you guys will get to know the local society, so your PR will grow, your networking abilities will at least quadruple, right? And you never know what opportunity will rise from that. So when it comes to shifting, of course it will, right? Of course it will. So if this is your concern, I honestly believe that it will help you a lot. Now, when it comes to Sarah, what will happen if you pass the CFA level 1 and decide to stop? Nothing, Sarah. If you pass the CFA level 1 and decide to stop, you're free to stop. But of course, it's not like having the CFA charter. It's not like having your name, CFA. Because when that happens, you really feel the power of the CFA charter. Okay, so I'll continue, and Majdi, I'll get back to your question right after I pause to go over any Q&As after that. So when it comes to the education and experience, guys, you are required to have one of the following. So for you to register in the CFA program, it's not a complicated process. It's not something that is out of the blue. No, it is very simple. You just need to have one of the below, either a bachelor degree or equivalent. It doesn't have to be in business, okay? Or to be in the second year of your bachelor's degree program, or you need to have 4 years of professional work experience, or a combination of professional work and university experience with a total of at least 4 years. So the requirements are not really that complicated for you to be able to register in the program. However, for you to be able to have the CFA charter, the requirements are different, which we have just spoken about in a bit. As for the CFA exam, now, I believe that a lot of you have heard that the CFA charter or the CFA program has advanced. It has changed. A lot of updates have been showing up and now are existing and now will be applied starting February of 2024. So whenever you feel you want to register for the exam, خلاص, Asan, it's too late maybe to register for the November exam, November 2023. So you have to sit for the February window. Now, when you sit for February of next year window, that the updates, that changes are applicable on the program that you're going to be studying. So the first thing that has changed is the topic weights. Earlier, 2023 and before, some topics had much more weight compared to what we have right now. For example, quantitative methods now will consume 6 to 9 of the exam. Before it had more. Economics had more. So this section weight went down. This section weight went down. Financial statement and analysis, as I recall, it was 13 to 17%. Now it's 11 to 14%. And corporate issuers also went down. Now, why is that? Because they're trying to level up all of the topics to be at the same level. Because some people were weak at financial statement analysis. Because I know finance people, they hate accounting, right? And they hate anything that is related to accounting. Finance students, not finance people. So a lot of people don't like this. A lot of people don't like this too. So what they're doing was they're trying to have some kind of an equilibrium between all the 10 topics that they're posting in the CFA exam, which have led to an increase in the weight allocated to equity investment, fixed income, derivatives. I believe it is the same. They increase the alternative investment, and of course the portfolio wealth planning. And this is for level 1. Same happened also for level 2 and level 3. And as you can see, guys, as you transition from level 1 to level 2, from level 2 to level 3, the weight of the portfolio keeps on going up and up. So the first change that they have implemented is the allocation of the weights. Certain topics have lost weight, other topics have gained weight when it comes to importance, of course. Okay, this is the first update. Now, as for the second update, the CFA before requires candidates to go over the body of knowledge and the books that they offer. They did not have anything that is called a prerequisite knowledge. So usually the way that the books were done earlier was that it starts from A to Z, right? The book assumed that you know nothing. So imagine that we're talking about revenue. They will talk about revenue in the easiest way possible for people coming from non-finance, non-accounting background to really understand what revenue is. And then they will pick it up, and add more complexity to the concept. However, starting February 2024, the CFA Institute issued 3 books which they call the prerequisites. These prerequisites are not covered in classes. They are what we call a self-study material. So you have those prerequisites that are over here, which you should read, familiarize yourself with, so that you can be ready for the classes. Now, these prerequisites cover economics, and basically, I believe that, for example, in last year's or this current year's program, economics, the first chapter in economics was demand and supply. Now, you all know that if you come from a business background, that we have taken microeconomics, macroeconomics. They took that into consideration and they put it in the prerequisite. They took it off the main program that you will be tested on. So all of the material or most of the material that are put in the prerequisite books, you're not going to be tested on. However, you might be tested on topics or in topics that are directly related to the information that you have in the prerequisites, or else why would they call it a prerequisite, and why would they ask you to familiarize yourself with the prerequisites? So the prerequisites are super important, especially for those who are coming from non-finance or non-accounting background. So I will take a break from the program updates and go to the Q&A. Going back to the Q&A, let's look at the questions. Majdi, so in 2-3 months enough? Okay, is 2-3 months enough to pass the first level of the CFA program studying full-time? Also, is it enough to land an entry-level job? Majdi, everything has an answer, which is it depends. Now, 2-3 months, fairly speaking, I cannot say it is enough because it will give a fake impression to others over here. I know a very few, or I'm familiar with few number of people who managed to pass the CFA by studying 3 months only. However, they came from an investment analysis or asset management background. They were technical people in finance. They had masters in finance and they had a BA in finance. So it depends on each case by case, right? So if you're coming from a background in finance, you're very experienced in finance, you have a master's in finance, It might be the case if you give it a really solid number of hours to prepare. But if not, I wouldn't advise you do so. Now, will it land you an entry-level job? It will increase the probability of you landing a job, because being in the CFA program, registering and studying for the CFA program, and being passing the level 1 and being a level 2 candidate, of course, it shows the employer that you are serious, you can be committed, you can be put under pressure, and of course, you have the basic knowledge when it comes to the investments, because the CFA program, especially the level 1, to be exact, it gives you the foundation in the investment. You get information, you get to know a lot about economics, quantitative methods, financial modeling. We're going to talk about it in a bit. Financial statement analysis, corporates, equities, fixed income, portfolio, alternatives. Maybe I missed one, and derivatives. Okay, you get to know about all of those. Now, if I was an employer and I'm doing interviews, of course I will, and I'm recruiting someone who's going to be in the finance department, for example, a financial analyst, of course I will pick someone who has passed the CFA at least level 1 exam, because I know what he went through, the level of commitment that he had, the level of dedication that he had, and the level of knowledge that he gained, and the technical skills, which we will talk in a bit, that he has learned. So I leave that to a few moments ahead, and I'll talk about it. Hello, in my country, the education system is LMD, license, master, and doctorate. So if I did my license, would that be? Of course it would. Of course it would. Hello. So it depends. I mean, even I come from Lebanon. In Lebanon, some bachelor degrees are based on 3 years. So you submit the degree. The moment that you have a degree, you're good to go. So don't worry about it. Right, Hisham, as I can see, the requirements say you should have a bachelor degree. You should have one of the below, right? So to go back to your question, Hisham, let me just go back a bit. So this is what you need. You need one of those, right? So it doesn't mean that you need to have a bachelor. You can be a second year in the bachelor program, like finish the second year and now in the third year, and you can register. Or you can have 4 years of professional work experience and you can still register. So as I said, they are very lenient on the entry requirements, right? So pay attention for that. Now, I'll take one more question and then we'll move on. What material software does Morgan use for the CFA? Good question, Hamza. We use Kaplan Schweizer, right? Now, I've honestly taught with at least 3 different prep providers. I've taught the CFA, all levels, using different prep providers, and honestly speaking, I found Schweizer to be not only the most comprehensive, but the most enjoyable and user-friendly in how they set up their access, how they set up their QBank, how they set up their mock exams, the recorded sessions. We're going to talk about it, Hamza, in a bit. There's a section that talks about this specifically. Hamza, what if someone is not working in the finance industry? What will happen? Won't get the CFA. Now, of course, if you're not working la in finance or in accounting or in other topic related to the CFA, then the question is, you're doing the CFA because you want to do what? So my advice to people who want to change careers and shift careers and move, for example, let me share this. I had a dietitian, right? I had a dietitian in the CFA level 1 program in the class, and she wanted to change careers. And actually, she found a job, an entry-level job. It wasn't the best in terms of seniority because she's changing career, but she managed to move to a trading company, right? An entry-level trading position after doing the CFA level 1, and that's before sitting for the exam, right? When she was still a candidate before sitting for the exam, she went and secured that position. Now, I cannot say that the same is going to happen with you, because it depends. Again, everyone has his own personality, everyone has his own technical skills, everyone has his own way of convincing the recruiter, right? But of course, it will increase the probabilities and the chances of you guys shifting or landing a better job. Okay, moving on. So, okay, so we talked about the weights, we talked about the prerequisites, which you will not be tested on. However, they are I guarantee that they are related to the material that you will see in the main books, which you will be tested on. And finally, you have the practical skills. And this is, I believe, the most important update that the CFA Institute has done. Because, you know, as a finance, you know, I currently hold the position of a head of financial advisory, right? If I want to recruit someone, I mean, it's nice to have someone with a solid with a solid theoretical knowledge, but at the end of the day, I want someone to be working. I want him to have technical skills. We always used to say that, you know what lacks the CFA program is to have something technical, because all what we are learning is theories, and then we combine them with what we know from the technical aspect at work. Now, what the CFA Institute did is that you will not get the result of the exam in all levels, especially level 1 and 2, unless you complete one of two offered practical skills modules. These modules, you're going to do them by yourself. For level 1, the CFA Institute now will offer two modules: financial modeling and Python programming fundamentals. Financial modeling will cover financial statements. So you will go over, what's a financial model? How do we build a model? How do we set up a model? How do we design the model? And then we're going to move on to revenue, and then costs, variable costs, fixed costs, and then depreciation. And throughout that, you're going to be using formulas related to lookups, whether VLOOKUPs, HLOOKUPs, and some ifs and other formulas used in financial modeling. And then you will move on to an income tax, and then you will move on to building the financial statements, income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statement, all on Excel. So now there is a technical aspect that you are required to do before you even get your score. The moment that you finish this module, each module takes from 10 to 15 hours as per the CFA website. So you're not required to do two modules in each level. You can pick to do the module that you want. What you are required is to finish one. So in level 1, we talked about it. And by the way, Python programming, Python is really useful. So for you guys who want to improve in your technical abilities, Python is a program that helps you to visualize data, analyze data, etc. You can go and read about it. And if you want to know more, you can also go to the CFA Institute, and there's a lot of information about the kind of coverage that is within the level 1 program. As for level 2, it gets a bit more upgraded, a bit more advanced. You have to pick one of two, either the analyst skills or the Python data science and AI practical skills module. So this is an update which I believe is the most important update among all. This is my personal opinion, okay? Now, one more update that they have introduced is the early registration period. So when it comes to registering for the exams, usually you have the early period and you have the normal period. What the benefits that you get whenever you register early is that you get a discount. Now, I believe that it was $1,200 for the normal period and $900 for the early registration. So if you register early, I believe it was around $300 discount. So now that was for a period of 3 months. The CFA Institute offered candidates the chance to register for 3 months at an early period registration. However, now they have decreased it to 2 months. So, for example, the February 2024 early registration period will run from May and June, only for 2 months. But as for February 2023, it ran for May up until August. So please pay attention for that. So if you want to benefit from that and cut down on the cost of you registering, you can benefit from that. Now, before I move to the digital badges, which is also another update, I have to mention that whenever you want to go for the CFA exam, there is a one-time fee that you have to pay for the CFA Institute. This fee does not relate to any exam. It does not relate to anything except for you registering for the first time as a candidate in the CFA Institute. So you pay approximately $350. It is a one-time fee. You pay it only once, and then you pay for the exam, right? So the cost of the exam is whenever you take the exam, you pay for the exam. As for the one-time fee, you only pay it once, right? Now, another update, and then I'll take more questions. The CFA Institute, they now introduced what we call digital badges for level 1 and 2. They did that because they believe that someone who finishes the level 1 and level 2, they put a lot of effort, and this is significant accomplishment, i.e. the candidates who pass level 1 and level 2 should get digital badges claiming that they have officially passed from the CFA Institute themselves. So the moment that you pass, you can claim your digital badges and put them in Twitter, and put them on social media, LinkedIn, etc., or even in your email signature. So now you can also get that as a benefit. Now, before I move into the details of the exam, I will take few questions, if any. Okay, Hamza, actually, I'm into accounting job and currently finalizing my last part in CPA. Good. Well, Hamza, let me be honest. One of the best combinations that you can have out there is a CPA plus CFA or a CFA plus DIP IFR. Those are the best arsenal weapons of knowledge that you can have if you want to work in the accounting and finance industry. So if you are finishing the CPA and you want to get into the CFA, this is the best decision that you make. Well, I passed level 1 CFA and will sit for level 2 exam in November. As a CFO, do you see added value? Of course, definitely. Well, let me tell you something. Whenever you get into a stage where you are a finance manager, where you are a finance director, head of finance, or a chief financial officer, whenever you want to get people on board, you care about their technical skills and not only their boring managerial skills, right? Boring managerial, i.e. accounting or finance skills. You want to get someone on board who has the recognition, who has the charter, who has the network, and who can also benefit you. Let me tell you why. Because a lot of the CFOs and finance directors out there, they come from an accounting background and they have progressed into finance. But not a lot of them know about derivatives, about portfolio, about transactions, i.e. valuations, due diligence. Now, the benefit of the CFA is that it can give you some knowledge weapons that people coming from accounting do not have. Because we all know that companies might enter into phases where they might require to sell part of their company, value their company, buy another company, merge with a company, conduct a professional feasibility study or capital budgeting study for a project, etc. Now, you'll only find a CFO with these skills if he has worked in the finance industry a lot, or as a transactions advisor, or he has a knowledge from the CFA program. So going for the CFA and sitting for level 2 and then level 3, it will at least give you the edge in valuation, because you're already studying, so you know that, in valuation and financial reporting and analysis, and in level 3 in portfolio management. So definitely it is an added value for you and for your career. Can I take the 2 models for personal development, Muhammad? I believe it is, right? I believe you can. So the moment that you are required to do one, I believe you can do both. But I am not sure. I will let Morgan employees get back to you on this question. But on a personal level, I believe you can. Reem, CFA program is free. I believe, Reem, you're talking about the books. The moment that you register for the exam, you get the books in the online format for free. Yes, they are included within the cost of the program. Oh, and by the way, one more thing. The CFA Institute now offers you the chance to buy additional exercises, additional QBank on top of the QBank that they offer. So this is how it goes. You register for the exam. When you register for the exam, you get the access to their books, but those books are the official CFA Institute books. They are heavy, they are big, they are large, to be honest. Every book is approximately 500, 600 pages. So it's a lot of reading. This is why we go for a prep provider, which is Schweizer, that does its own version of the books in a summarized way, in a language that is super easy, super organized, so that we try to make the life of our candidates easier. So the official books, yes, you get them in online format for free, electronic format for free. Hamza, when it comes to passing for each level, there is no official passing grade. I mean, for other certificates, maybe the DIP IFR, I know it's more than 50%, 50% and above. But for the CFA, there hasn't been an official post saying that if you get more than 70, you pass, right? Now, there are a lot of people who start throwing their subjective opinion here and there, but nothing is guaranteed. Now, the logic, the logical thing, if you want my personal opinion, and this is not an official statement, this is only me, if you get more than 70, you pass. This is what I believe, right? If you get more than 70, you pass. But this is my personal opinion, right? So it depends on the topics, it depends on the scoring, it depends on, some people say if you do well in ethics, it will give you a boost. But what I can tell you for sure is the CFA Institute gathers every year, and they set, of course, before every exam, and they set what we call the MPS, which is the minimum passing standard. Based on the MPS, they set the passing rate. But is there an official post saying every year you need to get more than 70, 75% to pass? No, there's no. There's no such a thing. Okay, moving on. So when it comes to the exam by itself, guys, the exam by itself, as we said, is 3 levels. The first level is always the foundation level. You get knowledge of all of the 10 topics. Then the second level is more of an application level, with the bulky amounts going to financial reporting and analysis, equity, corporate finance, fixed income derivatives, and with more allocation on portfolio. But on level 3, the more focus becomes on portfolio management. So portfolio management consumes from 35, I believe, to 45% of the whole program. And even the way that the level 3 is done as an exam, it's different, and we'll talk about it in a bit. So what about the question format for each level? Well, for level 1, you have 2 sessions. You do the exam 1 session, the exam 2 sessions. We're going to talk about the format in a bit, Kaman. Now, the level 1, for you to be able to sit for it, you have to meet the requirements to register. And then the questions are all multiple choice questions, small paragraphs, and 3 multiple choices. And you get your result within 5 to 7 weeks of completing your exam and the practical skills module. So guys, let me tell you, if you don't do your practical skills module, you will not get your result. Okay? Once you do it, you will get the result. And the historical passing rate for the last 10 years is 41%. Now, as for level 2, for you to be able to do level 2, you have to pass level 1, logic. However, the questions format differ. Now you will get Vignet. Vignet means an assay. So in level 2, the number of questions decreases, but it gets way more complicated. It's a different beast, right? So you have Vignet. Now the Vignet is an essay that's like that. It can be 1 page, 2 pages, 1 page and a half. And then they ask you questions on the Vignet. So you have a lot of reading to do, and then you answer. In level 1, maximum, it's a small paragraph with a table. This is the max it could get. And also you get your scores within 5 to 7 weeks. And the historical passing rate has been 45% for the last 10 years. As for level 3, the format differs. 1 session, you have a Vignet with questions, just like level 2. And 1 session, you have an essay format questions. So they ask you an open-ended question and you answer. The essays could range from 9 questions, 10 questions, up to 13 questions as I can recall. This is why for you to be able to get your result, you're going to get it from 6 to 8 weeks, which is more than the time that it takes to get your result in level 1 and level 2. And the historical passing rate for the past 10 years for level 3 is 52. Now, as we said, for the level 1 exam, you have 2 sessions. First session, 2 hours and 15 minutes, 90 multiple choice questions covering certain topics. Second session, 2 hours and 15 minutes, 90 multiple choice questions covering the remaining topics. So it's not going to be a mix of topics. Earlier, like 3 years before COVID, the exam used to give you 10 topics in the morning. It was called morning and afternoon. So 10 topics in the morning, 10 topics in the afternoon. They ask you about the topics in the first session and second session. Now it has changed after COVID. So it became, in the first session, you get tested on ethics, quantitative methods, economics, financial statement analysis. And in the second session, you don't get tested on the topics that you got tested on. You get tested on the remaining topic. As for level 2, also, it's 2 sessions, session 1 and session 2. In total, we're talking about 4 hours and 24 minutes, split into 2 equal sessions of 2 hours and 12 minutes with an optional break in between. The format is 22 item sets comprised of Vignet, the essays, with 88 accompanying multiple choice questions. As for level 3, it's also 2 sessions. However, one session will be based on an essay format, number of questions, and then you have to answer them. They're mostly open-ended questions. They include calculation, they include things that you have to analyze, specifically the portfolio management cases. So it's really interesting. However, it's really complicated in terms of practice and in terms of sticking to the time and meeting the deadline when it comes to the time. And you have another part, another session, the session 2, that focuses on the open-ended vignettes, on the vignettes I mean, which is the same as level 2. So one part will be questions, second part will be vignettes. So as you advance in the levels, as the exam gets a bit more complicated level by level. Before I talk about the exam prep challenges, let me look at the questions that you guys have. Are we provided with the material needed for the good question, Sarah? The CFA Institute provided on their website. You go into their website, the CFA Institute website, and they have the material set that teach you everything, right? They teach you everything on their website. So you complete the module on their website. You don't just go for the exam on the spot. No, you prepare yourself, and then when you finish your module, it will be marked on the CFA website that you have finished your module. All the answers of all level are MCQs, right? Hamza, for level 1, level 2, multiple choice questions. Level 3, you have one session that is essays, one session that is multiple choice questions. So it doesn't apply to level 3, the essay section, because it's an open-ended format for the exam where you have to write the essays yourself. Going back to the session. So when it comes to the exam prep challenges, and this is, I believe, my area of expertise, guys. First of all, you need to be in the right mindset. You need to prepare yourself mentally that you're getting into something that you have never seen before. The CFA exam, whether level 1, 2, or 3, is not a usual exam. Those who have passed level 1, they know what I'm talking about. It takes a lot of dedication, it takes a lot of preparation, and it takes the right mindset. It's a long program. It's not the level 1 is not hard. If you talk to candidates, they will tell you it's not hard. But what's difficult about it is not the material, but the size of the material. You have to remember a lot of things, and the program is compressed within few months. So it's a lot of pressure on your shoulders, but it does pay off. So you have to manage your time in a really, really good way. 2, you have to make use of the resources that we offer at Morgan. The moment you register with Morgan, you will get a full briefing on what we offer in terms of material, how to use it, when to use it. The instructors will help you, because we've dealt with a lot of candidates and we really know how to tackle the best way, the best strategy to sit for the exam. So every instructor will be sharing his or her knowledge when it comes to tips and tricks and how to study and how to segment your time. Practicing is super important. If you memorize the program, you will not pass. If you practice and study, you will pass. So practicing is key for the CFA exam. And of course, motivation. You will be motivating yourself. The instructors will be motivating you. And the good thing is that you will be able to be with colleagues who are facing the same obstacles that you are facing, so that you can also collaborate in order to motivate one another and in order to be ready for D-Day or exam day. Now, keep in mind, guys, that when it comes to Morgan, we haven't been doing that for a year or two. We've been doing that when it comes to preparing candidates for their CFA program for more than 19 years. And we have dealt with more than 12,000 CFA candidates. Now, what do we do? What do we use? As I said, we use Kaplan Schweizer, which is we're a partner with Kaplan Schweizer. We use their material, we use their resources, and of course, the way that we do it, we believe, differs a lot from others. First of all of the instructors are CFA charter holders. We don't have instructors that are that only passed level 1, right? And 2, most of the time, the instructors are allocated on the topics based on their background and experience. So you don't just get the educational side, but you also get that technical side whenever an instructor is explaining, for example, financial statement analysis. Not only he will refer to slides, not only he will refer to PowerPoints and whiteboard, but he will try to conduct the financial, the concepts that you guys are learning in a financial modeling perspective on Excel, and you will get the chance to learn what goes on in the CFA from different angles, from the whiteboard, from the presentation, and also from Excel and the calculator, of course, because there is a calculator that is required. We're going to talk about it in a bit, so that you can get the whole comprehensive idea about it. Now, two, when it comes to the exam that you face, you will see that the material that we use, specifically Kaplan, is not far from what you will see on exam day or D-Day. So we have a lot of practice questions. We have a lot of final review packages and resources that make the life of the candidate really easier. And by the way, I'm saying that because I did the program on a self-study basis. So I always tell the candidates, you guys are really, really lucky because you have the chance to sit for a class with an instructor who's telling you what to do from A to Z, and he's sharing his experience not only from the educational side but also from how to approach the exam. What are the things that you should prepare yourself to? How to approach topics? What's the difference between that topic and the way that you approach another topic? So this level of sharing and the medium that is there between the candidate and the instructor is really, really worth a lot. And finally, the history of the successful candidates that we have. As you can see, we have helped a lot of candidates become CFA charter holders. Now, as far as what we offer in terms of the material that we use and the medium that we use, of course, the learning modules are interactive. Schweezer offers its own study plan, and you can have one-on-one technical coaching and support, and you can see a lot of exam tips and strategy, and of course there's a lot of questions for you to practice, and there's a lot of review sessions even allocated within Morgan's schedule that we share with candidates whenever they register with us. Now, what are the resources? Of course, we do our sessions. Now, the sessions also are recorded. If you couldn't attend the session, you can go back and you can watch the session again. We have a lot of practice and review sessions. You have Schweezer notes that, as I told you, it's a smart summary of the material, diagnostic exam, topic quizzes for all the quizzes within Schweezer, practice exams, as in practice mock exam, actual exam. You have the Schweezer Pro QBank, checkpoint exams to track your progress. Schweezer have their own videos with instructors, so you have the instructor of Morgan and the instructor of Schweezer, right? But of course, the sessions that we do at Morgan are way more detailed. But again, if you want to go over a certain topic or a certain concept, the lectures that Schweezer have are also very helpful. And of course, you have the quick sheets, the resource library, the Schweezer secret sauce, and the instructor link. Now, tips, guys. Well, this is when it comes to preparing for level 1, preparing for level 2, and preparing for level 3. Now, I'm not a guy who likes to look at slides, read slides, and go over the slide. Let me give you everything in a nutshell. Level 1, level 2, level 3. There's no easy way or shortcut. If you read that it takes 300 hours for you to pass, that might be the case for certain individuals. However, it's not the case for all of the population. Every individual has his own circumstances, educational background, technical background, work background, family circumstances, relationship circumstances, call it whatever you want to call it, but everyone is unique. Everyone is different. This is why you cannot generalize. You cannot say, well, all it takes is 300 hours, I'm going to do it and I will pass. No. You have to know where you stand. You have to evaluate yourself, and I believe Morgan employees are more than helpful to, more than happy and willing to do that for you and to help you on any question or obstacle, or you feel that you're hesitating about a certain area. They can help you a lot. So you need to figure where you stand, and then you need to prepare yourself for a commitment. It takes a lot of studying. It takes a lot of sacrifices. Get ready to make a lot of sacrifices. But at the end, this is what differentiates the CFA program. What differentiates us CFA charter holders from other people in the finance domain is that we have passed through a very rigorous and tough process for us to reach where we have reached, right? And I believe the place that we have reached is a place that a lot of people would wish to go there. However, not a lot of people succeed to get there. Why? Because it's not an easy road. So once you decide to go for the CFA program, you have to prepare yourself because you're going to battle. But believe me, the moment that you win the battle, it's really worth it. This is what I can take you. Now, tips on studying, of course, as I said, practice makes perfect. Never ever skip a topic because it has a small weight. And this happens a lot. Some candidates go like, well, I want to skip the topic, it has 5 to 8%. Because I am good in economics, I am good in financial reporting and analysis. Whenever they go to the exam, unlucky for them, the financial statement analysis section is so hard. They'd be like, we messed up on the section that we thought we're really good at. We wish we put more time into portfolio. We wish we put more time into alternative investments. Never ever do that. Review is key. During my journey, it took me 4 months to study for each level. I used to do every 2 weeks, I do a pit stop, I review. Every 2 weeks, pit stop, review. Because of the big load of information that you're going to be bombarded with, you need to make review a regular practice for you. Of course, start and end with ethics. As I said, code of ethics and professional code of conduct. This is everything. This is our life as CFA charter holders. This is our standard for the practices. And of course, it should be yours. Practice type management, of course. Do the mock exams. Of course, when you register, we will give you more insights on how to approach the mock exams, when to do the mock exams, how to maximize the learning process via doing the mock exam. And of course, develop a test taking strategy. This will be, of course, with the help of the instructors in class, because every instructor will tell you the way that he believes or she believes is best for approaching a certain topic, and reward yourself whenever you're done. And I believe passing the exam is the best reward. So don't worry about that. Leave that to them. Now, few more tips, guys. As I said, don't just go over any topic in brief. Go into the details. Use the tools that are available. We see a lot of candidates being offered a lot of resources. They don't make use of them. Believe me, guys, the moment that you are offered with such resources, especially from Schweizer, Kipling Schweizer, make use of all of the resources. You will always learn. You will always learn something extra. So this will play for your favor. And know the calculator. Guys, the exam heavily depends on the calculator, right? You're not going to be solving on a pen and paper without using the calculator. The calculator is heavily needed, whether you're solving for time value of money, valuation, cash flows, MPVs, IRR, bond valuations, financial statement analysis for ratios, etc., etc. Depreciation also, you're going to be using that. So the calculator is key. Now, of course, there are, you cannot just get in any calculator. There are two types of calculator. You can read more about them on the CFA Institute, and one of them is the Texas BA2 Plus instrument. You can get it as a professional version or the usual version, Texas BA2 Plus instrument. Of course, training, and of course, the exam day readiness, which is the psychological factor that we prepare our candidates with a lot. Believe me, psychology preparation is really important before you go into the exam. A lot of candidates, they're not really prepared psychologically. They go to the exam even though they spent a lot of time preparing. If they didn't prepare themselves psychologically, they will get really stressed out, and it might end up for them not doing good as they wanted to do, or not doing as good as they wanted to do, because they didn't prepare themselves psychologically and mentally. And this is also what we do as part of instructors, as part of being with Morgan instructors, to help our candidates get psychologically ready, mentally ready, because we simulate what will happen in the exam. And as we go through the topics, we tell them, we believe this topic, this area of the chapter is really important. Usually they can ask about this, they can ask about that, and this is the format that this might look in the exam. So we talk a lot about exam tips during our sessions. So before I end the session, I'm going to go over the Q&As that you guys have. And if you have any other question, of course, you're more than welcome to answer, more than welcome to ask. How difficult is the CFA, especially when you are working full-time? Hamza, I did my CFA on a self-study basis. I used to have 2 jobs, but I used to stay late from 11 p.m. up until 2 a.m. on a daily basis. And on the weekend, I used to put 6 to 7 hours on self-study basis on Saturday and Sunday. Can you do it? You can do anything. Anything that you want to do, you can do. How difficult is it? Nothing is difficult, but what I want to ask you is, how bad do you want the CFA? It's not really about how difficult the charter is. This mentality will really be an obstacle later on. The thing is, how bad do I want it? And this is the only thing you think of. Because how bad you want it will really determine how hard you will work for it in order to get it. Don't think about the obstacles, don't think in a negative way, but rather focus on the positive side of earning each level by level. And believe me, it is worth it, right? Believe me, it's worth it. Mostly welcome, Hamza, Muhammad Abdullah. The fees for level 1. What do you mean, Muhammad? Is it the fees that for the exam, or you're talking about the fees that relate to the course itself with Morgan? Hamza, of course, anything is doable. As long as you put your mind into it, anything is definitely doable. So, Muhammad, I'm waiting for details on the question that you have posted. You asked about the fees for level 1. Is it the fees that you pay for the CFA exam or other fees? Waiting for clarification from your side. Tara Diab, are all classes online? If no, where are the located? Okay, so Tara, usually I believe the classes in Lebanon are all online. Okay, I'm one of the instructors that offers the classes for the batches in Lebanon. So the classes are all online. They usually run from, I believe, like I can tell you a bit about the current schedule. I'm not sure it's going to be the same for upcoming schedules, but for example, we can talk about the current schedule that will be run soon. It will run on Mondays and Wednesdays from 6 to 9 p.m. So we take into consideration those who are working, and they are all online, and they are also recorded in case you couldn't attend the session. You can always go online and rewatch the session. I sent an email to join the CMA program agenda. Okay, Hisham, could you please forward this? Okay, honestly speaking, Hisham, I'm not quite sure about the CFA, the CMA program. I would rather if you send the request to Morgan, and now I believe I have a Morgan employee with me who will take care of this. Muhammad Abdullah, Morgan fees, I would rather if you get in contact with the sales people at Morgan, they will clarify, they will give you more information about the fees that they impose on each level, because I honestly don't know about the Morgan fees. If I know, I would have told you. Anonymous attendee, if we're talking, guys, about the prices for Morgan classes, I would rather if you talk to Morgan employee or sales people at Morgan, and they will be more than happy to help you. As for the CFA exam, I believe every exam is between $900 if it is early and $1,200 if it is the normal registration window. So if you register early, you could save some money. For each level, you have to pay that amount. Of course, and of course, whenever you get the charter, you have to pay a fee for the CFA Institute, and you have to pay a fee for the local society, because you will be benefiting from all the networking benefits that the CFA society locally offers to you guys. So this payment goes annually. You pay it once a year. You pay part of the fee for the CFA Institute and the other part for the local society. It depends on what country you're actually residing in. So guys, any other questions? Sorry, you're mostly welcome. If you have, guys, any other question, please don't hesitate to ask, or you could forward your question if it's related to the fees of the course to a Morgan salesperson. Are we all good? Well, I believe there is a level 2 review session. Could you please talk to the program manager at Morgan that has to do with the CFA? So if you can talk to get in contact with the CFA program manager at Morgan, she can assist you in the review session for level 2. Okay. Any other question, guys? You're mostly welcome, Deshan. Okay, guys, so I'm going to thank you for attending. Thank you for being here. If you have any other question, please feel free to drop it to Morgan faculty. And if you have any question that is technical related to the CFA program, I'm sure that they will forward this question to the instructors. So, or they can ask the instructors and then they will get back to you. So again, thank you for attending. And just like the final advice that I can give you, never skip on the CFA program. This is my personal advice to you. يعطيكم ألف عافية, everyone. I want to wish you a good night. Take good care. And inshallah, one day I'm going to see you in the CFA sessions at Morgan International. Have a good night, everyone.